Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back in. It is Tuesday night. We are United Front. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. That's Jacob Terrell. We're coming in hot. We are coming in hot. We're loaded. We're ready to roll tonight. Jacob's flexing the stash over there. Like we're ready. We hope you guys are here. I've been in the Discord today. I mean, Jacob, we were talking a little bit. You ever have one of those days and you're a parent, I'm a parent, you get a call from an unknown number, right? You think maybe, maybe it's your kid's school, maybe something's wrong. And I got a phone call today.
I live in a small town, so I have the school number saved, and their teacher's number saved.
Yeah.
But point stands, yes.
Point stands. You think maybe something might be wrong with a kid, right? So I'm at work, I'm in a meeting, a call starts coming in. I'm like, hey, who is this number? Get out, check my voicemail. Like, hey, I got a voicemail. That doesn't happen very often unless it's Vitalent, who I have blocked, by the way. I get out, call it back. Hey, Seth, it's Peter Trevisani. I got a phone call from El Jefe today. El Jefe, Peter Trevisani, was listening to the show last week. I was like, okay, I'm digging this. He was enjoying the conversation we were having with bees. And I mean, why? Let's jump right into it, right? Next week, United Front. It will be myself. It will be you. It will hopefully be Christina, who we think might be coming along this evening as well. Also on United Front next week, Peter Trevisani. El Jefe will be here. He enjoyed our conversation with bees so much last week. We've had him on before. We'll have him. We've been planning on having him on again. He reached out to us and said, hey, I want to come on and talk. I want to come on and give another perspective on this. So we're going to talk contract philosophy with Pete next week. We're going to talk stadium. We're going to talk all kinds of different things. We're super excited about this. We just big. We'll just throw it right. I said, let's throw it right out there. Pete's coming on. I mean, it's been a minute. I had a nice chat with him today. I said, Pete, man, we're excited for this season. It's been like the shortest long off season. And so he's pumped. He's excited. He's looking forward to everything. I mean, and I texted you guys right. I said, hey, I just talked to Pete.
No. I have a bone to pick with you about that, by the way. You put, hey, Pete just called me. He listened to the show last week. Yeah. ... And I'm sitting here going, okay, is that good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? Like, why is El Jefe calling us? And then you were like, oh, I don't know. I haven't talked to him yet. He left a message. I got to call him back. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So then I had to sit there and wait for you to respond for 20 minutes. Not quite 20 minutes, but I was just like, oh man, what the heck's going on? What's going to happen? And then you put it in the chat. You put a couple things in the chat, and then I called you, and we talked about it some. And yeah, he is the best owner in the business for a reason. And for him to reach out, say he wants to come on, wants to give us some insight. Christina, I'm a little concerned.
Hello.
Hey, Christina, how's it going?
I'm hanging in there.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
Why are you concerned?
No, I wasn't concerned.
Oh, phew. Okay.
No, I'm just glad you're here.
Hi, everybody.
It had been a minute, and so anytime the whole gang's together, I enjoy that. So we were just talking about Pete coming on next week and him reaching out to Seth on behalf of the pod and talking about wanting to come on. And I was just about to say, I'm a little nervous about possibly an unbridled Peter Trevisani on a live podcast because I've seen an unbridled Peter Trevisani at what did he call Lagoon Siesta Park when it came to the Balloon Fiesta Park reference at one of the Black and Yellow Bashes,
right,
among other things. And I've seen the dread on at the time David Weesey Carl's face during stuff like that. So I imagine, even though David's not with us anymore in the Black and Yellow, I imagine he will watch next week and be like, still dread on his face. Just like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster.
It's probably his second nature to dread what's going to come out of Pete's mouth.
He might have to step in and get hired by the club for just that night to rein Peter back in. So tune in again next week. Tune in the rest of today, obviously too, but tune in again next week for sure. As we'll talk about, we'll officially talk about the announcement that's coming tomorrow. The club put out a tease there.
Not on X, by the way.
Not on X, no, but everybody else, or everywhere else. Not Blue Sky either, I don't think. But I don't know. I'm not on there enough.
No, they don't do official club business on Blue Sky.
I gotcha.
No, it's crickets over there.
Yeah,
it's been quiet.
And so we'll see. We'll talk officially about that and other stuff with Pete and I'm looking forward to it. I know Seth and Christina are looking forward to it. I know some of you in the chat are looking forward to it. So excited about that. But we do have current news and current things to talk about. Seth, do you have a burning question for us?
I have one burning question. How does it feel to be a Lobo?
Oh, I don't know.
Everyone's a Lobo.
Everyone's a Lobo.
We all know how it feels.
We heard about it, and we talked to Bees last week about the importance of having a New Mexican on. And
I was so confused about where you were going with that. I forgot about the Malik Howell thing. I was lost.
Okay.
I'm with you now.
We had talked about the importance of it. We'd heard a rumor that a former Lobo was coming back to New Mexico. Bees mentioned, that it's important to continue to have it here, and that maybe we're just in a lull, right? Well, New Mexico United makes the announcement that former Lobo, former Albuquerque Soul player Malik Howell is coming to the black and yellow after spending some time with the Las Vegas Lights. Malik Howell, defender, didn't necessarily see a ton of time with Las Vegas, but he's a guy that comes in. We were talking last week, right? Talon's gone. Tony's gone. He
played a lot in 2024 for
24.
Vegas.
Yes.
Last year he split between Vegas and Birmingham, and then I was talking to Kaylor with the Birmingham guys and the USL show, and he said that he came over and got hurt after a week or two last year with Birmingham and then wasn't seen again. So, but yeah, he exciting. Needed some backline help. Still pretty thin back there, but I think, I don't know if you saw John Morrissey's write-up, but he was pretty excited about Malik Howell coming over here and teaming up with Sanchez again, and thought he would fit well next to Keller. And so I think we have a starting lineup. Have a small question at right back, but other than that, I think we're pretty set. Now we'll talk about some other stuff with that lineup here in a little bit, but with another center back, it definitely looks like it's coming together more.
Yeah, definitely a big signing. If you ask me, I know a lot of people were nervous. Oh, we need defenders. We need this. We need that. To be, we've known. We have our sources. We've known for a little bit that help was coming, right? And we know that there are still players to be announced. Obviously, there's an announcement tomorrow, and there are still more to come, right? We're still only at, with the two most recent signings, we're still only at 16, right? So there's still, we know of at least two more. I can tell you, we know of at least, well, not counting tomorrow, we know of at least two more coming. Okay.
No, counting tomorrow, we know two more.
Yes, counting tomorrow, we know two more. Sorry. Yes, counting tomorrow, we know at least two more coming. And I'm assuming there will be more after that. But Malik fills a big role for us. He's going to fit into that back line. We needed someone, obviously Maple's leaving. You've got Keller. You've got Will Seymour. I think this is a good fit. He's from here. He knows the locale. He knows how the fans are here. I will
push back on the from here just a little bit. He was here for one season as a Lobo and did not play. And I can't figure out any reason why he didn't play or
I believe he redshirted.
That's what I thought too, but I did some digging and saw where another player redshirted, but I didn't see anything officially where he redshirted. And so was his freshman year.
Once a Lobo, always a Lobo.
I agree. I just have not figured out exactly how much time he has spent in Albuquerque.
It doesn't take long. It's the land of entrapment.
Yeah. So I am excited there. He seems to be excited to be back, and I think it's a good fit. of course, reuniting with Sanchez. And he's not the only one reuniting with Sanchez.
No.
The other announcement, the other player announcement coming in that we got this week was, have you figured out how to pronounce his first name?
I believe it's Raiko or Rosarena.
Okay.
Raiko?
Raiko. It's either Raiko or Reiko.
Yeah. I was saying Reiko. I haven't heard
Well,
officially.
I mean, we were pronouncing Alex's last name wrong for years.
So.
Allegedly. I'm going to throw that allegedly. And so Randy Arozarena's younger brother, we know how he plays at Isotopes Park because he had a 7-save shutout against us in the playoffs for Dennis Sanchez's Las Vegas Lights side. And by my count, he is now the 4th Las Vegas Lights player from 2024 to come over here.
Yeah.
We've got Noel, we've got Usman, we've got now Howell, and then a Rosarena.
That we know of.
Okay, good. And so at the moment we have 4. And then like that's the thing about this league though, right? Is I've seen some Lights 2.0 talk out there. And really, if you dig deep enough, just about every signing that Troy made, he had a connection with him somewhere, right? He coached them in college. He coached them at Charleston. He coached them wherever. And that's what this league is about. It's about familiarity in a lot of ways. You're gonna have your Justin Rennicks, who, as far as I could tell, there is no connection between him and Sanchez, that come in and are kind of our wild card. But having that and having some OG United players like Seymour and Bailey and Hurst, and then having some Lights players that know Sanchez's system, executed Sanchez's system, got to a Western Conference final with Sanchez, having them step in, because I believe all 4 of those players started that Western Conference final against Colorado Springs. And I think 3 of them started against us. Maybe 4 of them started against us too. I can't remember for sure. But do you guys have a problem with this? How do y'all feel about Lights 2.0 as some people are deeming it?
Christine, I'll let you take this one first.
I go back to I feel like I say year after year, I trust Itmar. He knows what the club's looking for. Ultimately, I agree with them too. We want players who want to be here. So regardless of where they come from, if they're pumped to play for Sanchez and they're excited to come to New Mexico, then I say doors open, welcome.
Yeah, I know some people are concerned about the number of Lights players, but every coach, and there was a comment made somewhere too, I believe it might have been on Discord, that said that Sanchez is young enough as a coach that he doesn't have the scouting network that some of these other coaches did. Well, it's not just Sanchez that's in this. That's Itamar. We have someone who has worked within the global game. So, so Sanchez is not doing this on his own.
I would even push back on that because, yes, Sanchez only has the 1 year of head coaching experience. Troy didn't even have that, if I remember right.
Not at the professional level. Yeah.
At the professional level, anyways. And so Sanchez spent time in several places under different positions other than manager, where he learned and met people. The U.S. soccer bubble, especially when you get to that high of a level, isn't very big.
No.
And so a lot of people know everybody, or seemingly everybody. So but at the same time, with that, when you have been a manager for only 1 year prior to coming here, you have connections to a bunch of people like Kip Keller, but you're going to be really familiar with the guys that you were the head coach of and how they took to you with that and how they responded to you, and kind of want those guys to come in, hence the 4 Las Vegas Lights players.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's I don't have a problem with it at all. I mean, they're guys that Sanchez is obviously high on, right? They understand his system. They've played within it before. They know what he expects. They know how he coaches. They know what Sanchez and now New Mexico United are about. And so, to Christina's point, the club wants people that want to be here.
Mhm.
And in some of the conversations that I've had with folks, there are people, we've heard it from Itamar, we've heard it from other folks. People want to come to New Mexico United because they hear about what this club does and what it means to the community and what it means within the league as a whole. But people are coming and they're inquiring because they want to come here. It's not like we're going out and seeking these guys and we're being, oh, hey, we're going to break the bank for you, right?
Mhm.
These are guys that are coming in. And yeah, Malik's a bit of a journeyman, a Rosarena has spent time at a couple different clubs. Now he's competed at a national level as well. And then you have other guys Kip Keller, right? Guy who we bring in on loan last year, dealt with some significant injuries to his hamstring, wants an opportunity to prove that he's healthy and can still go. Right. So these are guys who are seeking out these opportunities, that want to come in and want to show what they can do. And I have no problem where they come from, as long as it's not El Paso. But other than that, and I say that in jest, but in reality, there are some players El Paso has had that I'm going, okay, it would be interesting to see what they could do in this environment. But I have no problem with this at all. I think it's overblown. All this, Sanchez 2.0 or Vegas 2.0. Now, if we went outside like 8 Vegas players, 9 Vegas players, okay, then I'd be like, okay, this is Sanchez just remaking what he had in Vegas. Did it work? Sure. But will it work for us here? No. Right? So I have no problem with this. I think the guys that have come from Vegas, obviously Noel has been phenomenal for us so far. Jabang has been phenomenal for us. A Rosarena has been really good against us. We've seen it. And yes, Vegas was bad last year, but even on a bad team, if you have 10 clean sheets, like that's nothing to scoff at, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would take 10 clean sheets from any keeper. So all of this is overblown. I think it's perfectly fine. The bigger question, and you brought up in our chat yesterday, Jacob, and I didn't want to answer it until we got on the show tonight, is with the Rosarena coming in, we had assumed that Chris Shakes was most likely going to be the number 1. Does a Rosarena come in and compete for that number 1 spot, or is he a clear 1 or a clear 2?
Before I get to that, I will say that I do believe it seemed like a lot of the quote unquote locker room drama last year did start when Noel came on.
Mhm.
And so I do think that depending on how it's handled, the Las Vegas Lights 2.0 moniker could be an issue, specifically in this particular position battle, if it's not handled the right way.
Mm-hmm.
If Shakes resigns and comes in, and then Rosarena signs a little bit later, or at least gets announced a little bit later, and then all of a sudden it's some favoritism towards the Rosarena because of that familiarity, and not necessarily like who's performing the best, then I could see it being an issue both on the field and in the locker room. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's how it'll be handled. I think everybody here are professionals. And when it comes to the Rosarena versus Shakes battle, I know it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people because it's not how it's typically done, right? I went to West Virginia. I was in West Virginia a couple weeks ago, did the podcast from over there. And one of the things that they taught us over there, we got a button that says, we've always done it this way, with an X through it. Because when you get into state agencies, a lot of the time it is a lot of that. Like, well, we've always done it this way, so that's why we keep doing it this way. And there's a lot of danger in that. But when it comes to goalkeeping per se, typically it's always been, especially for United, it's always been, we have a number 1, and then we have the Ford Parkers, the Philip Beigels, the Ben Boweries, kind of unproven, kind of save money by not having a proven second goalkeeper kind of on the roster. And I really am excited to see what happens here, because I think that playing them both over the course of the season, maybe not equally, right? Maybe not every other match or anything like that, but letting them both get some run, letting them both take some reps as the number one, and then having them push each other through training and performance. I think we saw the best of Shakes last year, because Tambakis was the golden boy for that, and or for the club in goal, and he had to prove himself to get up there and get over that hump. And it's not like we signed Shakes and then we brought in some no name college kid like Chris Shakes was when we brought him in. And not to say no name, but just not a name most of us are going to know. We didn't do that. And we're bringing in a guy that's going to compete, knows the system like Shakes does, and we're going to have a battle there. And I think we can see both of them get, over 10 matches played this year in all competitions, which isn't usual.
Mhm.
And it's just going to come down to who's performing best at the moment. And I'm actually pretty excited for that. I will be bummed if Shakes doesn't get a fair shake, pun fully intended. But I don't think that'll happen. I think he earned a fair shake last year, and will continue to perform and compete and fight for that spot.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It'll be interesting to watch during the preseason. I mean, obviously, we can't see what's going on in Tucson. We can see the home preseason matches.
Well, we can see one match in Tucson.
Can't see one
if one of us wants, or if somebody wants to travel, and I'm really trying to make that happen for us. For me, at least, we'll see.
Yeah.
To be determined, but.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll just be interesting to see who else pops up, and maybe there's a third goalkeeper they bring into the mix to help push them both in training. It's our understanding that there are a number of trialists in with the club, more so than we believe that they've had in the past. And so these upcoming preseason matches are going to be really telling. But specifically for Shakes and a Rosarena, I think they can both make each other better. Right? Like Shakes is a young guy. He's hungry. He wants to prove himself. And I think he's done a phenomenal job of that here in 2025. But I think with the additional competition from a Rosarena, it's going to just elevate them both, put both of their names out there to where, it's like, okay, one of these guys could potentially be, top one of the top goalkeepers in the USL Championship.
I feel like we heard that from Sanchez a lot last season too, of really forcing the players to be at their best and earn their spot week after week, rather than that sort of complacency of knowing that they've got that starting position. So that seems to jive with Sanchez's mindset.
I agree. Yep. And so far, when you look at this roster now, the back line is still pretty sparse, right? But up top, especially with the name that we believe tomorrow's announcement to be, it is a crowded front four positions.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two wingers, the striker, and the 10, there is a crap load of talent up there that I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, you've got Hurst and Archimed or Renix. Renix has played wing as well. We've seen Hurst out on a wing, but for the most part up top, you got Hurst and Archimed. Then you've got Harris and Reed Steven. You've got Renix, who can kind of play all over. You got Noel and Vargas, who can kind of play all over up there. You've got the unannounced player who I'll give you guys a hint, plays up in the top three as well, front three as well. And those are all like there's probably 7 names for those 4 positions at least that are starter worthy players for any USL championship team. And so it's really going to be who's performing the best at any given week, and they're going to push each other. And I'm excited about that. We can, and me and Justin have had conversations about versatility up there and how he kind of just wishes we would sign players and play them in the positions that they're used for. I love that we can start a match with Hurst up top and the speed of Harris and Reed Steven on the wing, and then Noel's kind of calming presence in the midfield, and then all of a sudden we can say, okay, well, let's put Archimed in for Noel, and then all of a sudden Hurst is playing like a number 10, or Hurst bumped out to the wing, and Harris comes off and Vargas comes in. There's a bunch of different looks that we can throw out at people, and I'm really excited for it up front. The midfield's kind of the same, but it's more we kind of know what's going on there with Jabang Bailey and Zelalem for right now in that central mid. And then the back line is kind of, there's 4 names for that back line as far as I'm concerned. So there's not a whole lot of options back there, but that front 4 is crazy depth, and they're going to push each other, and it's going to be who's performing right now.
Yep, that it will. Yeah, the roster is definitely taking shape, and I was not so. Yeah, I saw you and Bolte talking about it over on X, and I had no idea because the club didn't post it on X, which is dumb. But yeah, no, the signing tomorrow again, I think it's going to be a good piece. Again, it's a wealth of goods, right? It's a wealth of talent, and all these guys they want to. They want to prove themselves, right? They're hungry. They want to be out there on the pitch. They want to be competing each and every week, and so like I said, it's good to have them. Obviously, we're not done. Right. Outside of these 2 upcoming announcements, I would expect another 4 or 5 after that. Would be my guess.
Yeah, and those might not be announcements right away because. If we're bringing in a bigger number of trialists than we normally do, we'll probably end up signing a handful of those at least. And those, like, I don't know if you guys remember, I've mentioned it multiple times recently. I feel like, Herbert and Maples both were trialists that came in and played the preseason and didn't get announced till right before the season. And now they weren't the starters right away. Maples basically was, but Herbert stepped in after Ryden went down with an injury, but still Bruce was one in year 1 as well. And so these, just because these trialists are trialists doesn't mean that they're not talented or don't have name recognition or don't have a pedigree. Last year, we had, Dre Fortune, was here as a trialist. He didn't end up making the team, but that's a name that has been around the USL for a long time. We had Nico Hansen, a former Lobo. He was a trialist last year. So, and he has he had MLS experience as well as USL experience. So it's not nobody's, right? It can be like a Brody Ford, who was a trialist last year for us for a match, and then we did end up signing him later in the season for a spell. So it can be some up and coming kids, but it can also be like Talon Maples, like defenders that are coming from USL Next Pro or MLS Next Pro or something like that. So just because it's a trialist doesn't mean it's going to be a bench player by any means. And so we're at 16 now. We've got 17 coming tomorrow. We've been told of an 18, and then after that, we're not really sure if there's anything set already and signed, sealed, and delivered, or if everybody else that's coming after that 18 is just going to be here as a trialist, and then we see what happens after that. Hello, Eric. And so we'll have to see. But with where things stand right now, Christina, did you have a chance to listen at all to Weehan last week?
I started to, and then I just got busy and realized I kept rewinding.
Fair,
I wasn't
fair.
really listening and processing, but I was enjoying listening to the front part. That was really fun to hear him talk about all the stuff he's got going on.
One of the things that we talked about a little bit later after he talked about his stuff that he has going on is the kind of growth of rosters specifically in the USL, and how like the 2019 team, even though Mawar and Frater were and Sandoval were like top tier in the attack, I think the 2019 team, if it competes in 2026 in the USL, finishes low.
Yeah, I think it'd be a struggle.
And the biggest piece of that, like we had a really good starting 11 and a couple bench pieces, but the quality just wasn't there from 1 all the way through 22, 23, 24, whatever the roster is. And that's where we're seeing the biggest difference currently right now, right? Is last year, we were fighting over Keller, Ryden, and Maples there at the end on who was going to be center backs. So much so that we pushed Maples out to right back, right? And so the depth is just tremendously different. And so when I look at the roster, I want more depth at that back line, but I'm happy with the depth of everywhere else right now. Is there a spot that has you guys most excited? A wing position, a forward, a 10? What position has you most excited for the depth that we have there, and who comes out actually playing there?
I think I'm most excited just about our attacking and their speed.
Four in general,
yeah, and the speed and the size that we're introducing. I felt like we were really short, kind of on the smaller side of a team last season. And so that size is going to be really helpful. I'm excited for I don't remember his name yet, but the one from Tormenta.
Niall.
I think he's my most I'm just historically, I know I say this every time, but I feel like this is just New Mexico's where strikers come to fizzle out, and I'm hoping that he's going to break that cycle.
Well, and I picture him very much in the Akale role out there on the right, and he can dribble. He might not be as good of a dribbler as Akale, mainly because I'm not sure there is a player in the USL that's as talented as Akale at dribbling. But he's got speed. He's got more size than Akale. He's more physical than Akale. And from what I saw in League One, he is a finisher. 16 goals and 8 assists in a League One season is really good, especially if you're not playing striker. And so yeah, his potential is kind of through the roof. And I'm very curious with the name that's coming tomorrow, and Reed and Renix and Harris, who comes out of those 4, I'll say those 4 for right now, to be the starters on the wings more often than not. I'm very excited to see who that is. I think Niall has a really good chance, and I really want to see what he brings. But he is making that step up to
championship.
Yeah, to a better league to an extent. But we've seen players, Greg Hurst, Talon Maples came from Next Pro,
Marco.
but similar. Marco Micheletto, Akale himself, all came. Akale came basically from the exact same team in the exact same position as Niall. And so we've seen people come over and translate that success there to success here. It might not be overwhelming success here like they had in League One or Next Pro, but still success. I would say Talon has had overwhelming success here. I think Akale had spurts of overwhelming success here, especially the end of last season. But yeah, it's just it's a roster that's, while not finished, is exciting. And especially we come on here year after year, it seems like, and is like, shoot the ball. Why aren't we scoring more goals? The offense is stagnant. And I feel like, knock on wood, that this season, with the talent that we have, and the growth of the offense that we saw the second half of last season, and bringing in key pieces of that back from last season while adding some sparks here and there, I think could lead to a really good offensive season for us. And I obviously am excited about that.
Well said. Yeah, I'd really like to not be talking about shooting the ball this season.
That's a good goal to shoot for.
Yeah.
It's the Jacobs question. It's really easy to default to the incoming players, right? Because the ones that were already here, the ones that we know are coming back, we've kind of already seen what they have to offer. But I would like to stay with someone that I'm excited to see what they can do with a second season. And that would be Gideon Zalalem. I know I was harsh on him last season. He obviously had poor moments. He had some good moments. But he became someone that Sanchez depended on in the latter half of the season. And this will be the first time in several years that Gideon's been with the same team for more than one season.
And
so,
where he played significant minutes. We talked last year about injuries derailing him in a lot of stops that he's made. And last year, for the most part, knock on wood, he was relatively healthy. He got benched or didn't start a handful of matches there in the middle of the season, mainly because he wasn't playing very well. But having him healthy in a second year, like you said, is really exciting. I wasn't going to bring him up, but I'm very glad that you did, Seth.
Yeah, and I think he's going to fill a role, and this kind of leads to some other conversations we've had about, what's going on with other players, right? I said it last week, and I want to say I've said it, multiple times since the season ended. I think Sergio's done. I do, and I don't think he's coming back. And Sergio is the guy. Him and Bees are both guys that could fill that 6 and push the ball forward and be that pivot. Gideon can fill that role, and again, give him a full season if we see him come back in. And I heard I had a conversation recently where he's in the best shape that he's been in several years. He's healthy. He is happy. He's enjoying football again, and he wasn't necessarily enjoying it at one point. So I do think that Gideon, barring any significant time loss due to injury or, a serious lull in his performance, I think he's someone that we're going to see feature quite a bit throughout this season. And I'm excited to see what he can do if he is pushed into that starting 6 role from day one.
Yeah, and one thing that really stuck out when he was on last year, specifically there, that last run, the same kind of lined up with the Kale kind of finding his groove too. Zalalem has this move, this little spin move that I would watch him. I'd be standing, especially on the home matches, when I would stand behind Shakes or Alex out there in right field. I would sit there and watch him, and I would be like, "Oh, it's coming! Oh, it's coming! Oh, it's coming!" And then he would do it, and I guarantee you, if I knew it was coming, the defender knew it was coming, and they still can't stop it. And he's just so silky and smooth when he's on, and I'm excited that he's in a good, because remember last year he came in and picked up a knock during preseason. We didn't see him for a while, and so I'm really excited about that. I want to get to this question real quick that Josh had, because I think it's interesting.
Josh wasn't here last week. He missed the whole conversation. We've already had that conversation. Bye, Josh. We're done. See ya.
So that was about captain specifically. I look at this and say, so, when we saw the behind the scenes clips, a lot of the times, if it wasn't coach talking in those clips, it was Maples or Ryden.
Maples, yeah.
Now they're both gone. Brucey's gone and Alex is gone, as this guy says. So, Josh, I have a question for you though. Is it the friend that sits with you most of the time when you go that I met? I can't remember his name, but let me know. With the departure of all those, who steps up to be a leader on the team, who becomes not only a captain but a locker room, but a locker room and on the pitch leader. I think so. Andrew shouts out Will or Hurst, and then Noel from a Sanchez perspective. Who do you think, Christina? Because you weren't here last week, anyways. So
first name that came to my mind immediately was Will.
Mm-hmm.
The only. Well, and I think historically it's the players who vote their captain.
Until Sanchez,
right? Yeah. Which I like. But my only hesitation is whether or not Will would be consistently a starter. And usually that captain armband is for someone who's going to be consistently starting.
He can still be a locker room guy, and I think he is.
Yeah, I think he is too. He's a veteran at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Has one of the longest tenures at this point. I think he naturally is just. I think the younger players look to him for that mentorship. He holds a level of respect, but he's also just really positive.
As a
I've
fellow
always
gentleman,
had Shakes as a great locker room guy. He just I think he uplifts everybody.
I don't look at Shakes as like a I don't look at him as like a, hey, let's go out and fucking get this. Like he's more like, hey, everybody, like we're all friends, like let's get along type of thing. As far as Seymour, as a fellow gentleman who has a receding hairline, I love Seymour, and I think that when you look at on-field captain versus the locker room kind of rah leadership guy, Seymour is far and away, I think, the locker room guy for sure. That I do think if we see some speeches being given and stuff like that, I think Seymour is a good option to have doing that. I don't know what's going on with Seth over there.
Baseball news.
Oh, baseball news.
Baseball news.
I was going to say, he's new, but Keller also strikes me as a leader, and that seems to be a natural position on the field where you're going to want that captainship.
Keller reminds me of Sunshine. And I said this last year, like Keller doesn't seem like the type that's going to be like same as Shakes, right? He's not going to be the, come on guys, let's do it. He will, like, in the moment on the field, he'll get fiery on the field, but he seems a little more zen and a little more like, yeah, man, come on guys, let's do this. Like we're gonna do this.
Like
and I've seen him,
surfer guy,
yeah,
surfer bro.
And I've seen him get riled up, but like even in the video this week, right? Like they have him come out and say, I don't even know if they asked him a question. The one that has all the players coming onto the training pitch. No, not the one word. The one where they're outside.
He's singing.
Yeah, and he comes out and he's just like, hey man, and then he comes out singing the second time and putting his headband on. Like he's not gonna get fired up all the time. Like he'll get fired up during the match. I've seen him scream during the match, but anytime I've seen him post or pre-match, he is mellow,
in the zone,
and intense, but mellow. And that doesn't mean that he can't be a captain. He can't wear the captain's armband. I said my guy might be Shakes, or not Shakes, Gloucester this year. He's got tenure. He's been around the block, played men's national team, other stuff like that. Is clearly talented. He's on the pitch a lot. He's not super far up the pitch, because we talked about Hurst a little bit too. But typically you don't see a forward wearing it too often. It's not impossible, but you don't see it all the time. And so I think we kind of determined, I kind of determined Gloucester as far as like a guy that I know is going to start 90% of the matches and be out there most of the time.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
as far as like not armband stuff, just like who are we going to see given the speeches? I think Gloucester is a possibility. Shakes is a possibility. Hurst is a possibility. I wouldn't count on Keller. I wouldn't count on Zico. I wouldn't count on Usman or Gideon.
I don't know about Oos. I mean, we talked about it last day. I could see Zico,
Yeah.
but Oos is just too. Oos is too. Same with Gideon too. I think they're more likely to be sent off.
Yeah.
Because Gideon certainly picked up some silly yellows within a matter of seconds. But I think Zico's. We've seen Zico wear his emotions on his sleeve. You know, we saw it at the end of the playoffs in 2024. We saw it. We've seen him be emotional on the pitch. We've seen him being emotional off the pitch. I think he's a guy that could really be a locker room leader. I mean, he's a veteran now, you know, tenure with the club. I could see that. But yeah, Gideon Oos, I don't think so. It's not that they couldn't, not that they wouldn't have the mentality to do it. I just don't see
just
them
quiet.
taking that role. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gideon's very reserved.
It's going to be interesting.
Yep, that it is. But you know what? With all of these players being mentioned, all of these things going on, they got to have some theme nights, right? We got to have some fun home theme nights. The club did announce all of the 2026 theme nights. And I mean, let's just run them down here real quick. When you look at this, and I will say, I have to applaud the club for putting out all the announcements in Spanish now, as well as English. But oh my God, that image is so friggin' small. Hang on, let me open this. So home opener, obviously March 28th. Pups on the pitch, April 25th. May 6th, Star Wars night. I've already tweeted it at Ron. Said, hey, Ron, we need some Star Wars kits. Would love to have it. You've got Country Night on May 9th. New Mexico Soccer History Night on May 20th. That one should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Schools Out Night, Pride on the Pitch on June 6th. You've got Juneteenth, 4th of July, Girls in the Game in August 1st. Indigenous Peoples Nights. You've got 2 open dates in August. Soccer Salute Service on September 11th. Hispanic Heritage Night on September 26th. Meow Wolf Night all the way down October 3rd. And then Blackout Night, final home match of the regular season, October 10th. So, I mean, looking at these, what jumps off the calendar? Which ones are you excited for? I know some of these are annual things, but you know, what are we looking forward to the most? And what do we hope to see out of maybe some of these open dates?
My brain zeroed in on the ones I'm missing, which I said in our chat. So I'm bummed about that, because although I might try to fly back in time to make it to the 4th of July match, but the chances of that might be a little slim, flying on 4th of July. And then Meow Wolf Night, I'm going to be missing. But I'm really excited about the women on the pitch, or women in the sports. That one I think is going to be a really good one.
Yeah, because and if you don't know, I mean, I know I've talked about it. I ref locally. There are some phenomenal women within Albuquerque soccer, within the referees, just within the game. Adri Cortina is deeply involved with Adult Soccer League here in Albuquerque. Leanne Clomby is one of the head referees. A friend of mine, Amanda Baca, she's an assigner for a couple of different leagues. There are some women who are very instrumental in what plays out with ASL and the youth soccer tournaments up at the soccer complex. So I would love to see them be involved. Obviously, you know, Coach Heather, the Lobo women, like there are a lot of different folks that you could bring into that. Yeah, that'll be a good one. We'll love to see who all they bring in for that. Jacob, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
I like some of the newer ones. As a gentleman who grew up on a ranch, on and off, Country Night has me intrigued, but it'll probably annoy me because there'll probably be a lot of people that have no business wearing cowboy hats. I always like Indigenous Peoples Night, and I keep praying that they do an Indigenous Peoples Night kit, because I think that you could do some really, really sick stuff with that. And if they did one, kind of like they did with the Salute to Service Night, where they do a cool kit and then they sell it, and then you can donate those proceeds to somebody. So Soccer Salute Service one is always another one that I'm always into. They're all gonna be fun. I'm definitely looking forward to all of them. I think opening night is obviously one, like Justin said, mainly just because it's opening night. There's not necessarily a theme. It's just like I look at opening night as like a family reunion, like really just getting to walk in front of the supporter section and see the likes of Andrew and Alex and
Justin,
Sea Monkey and Justin up there in his freaking tank top in 20-degree weather and then hopefully see Josh a little more often now that the baby's a little older. And so opening night always gets me excited. Blackout night usually gets me excited because it's one of the last matches or the last match and of the regular season. And the last 2 years anyways, that's meant like, hey, we'll see you guys again next week for something. And so yeah, I think one that we haven't mentioned that is new and exciting as a dog lover is Pups on the Pitch. It sounds like chaos, but I'm excited for it, and I want to see how they handle that. But if you're telling me I get to go to a match and then pet a bunch of dogs and then watch some soccer, that's my version of heaven, I think. And so yeah, exciting. I'm curious. Every time I look at it, I'm like, okay, how many kits are we gonna get? Right. We've gotten a Salute to Service one. Usually we've gotten a Salute to Service one a couple times. We always get a Meow Wolf one. Obviously, we occasionally get a Pride. We get Pride stuff. It's not always a kit that they wear that particular night, but there's always something there. And so yeah, I always kind of look through and go, okay, which kits could we do? I would love like a red, white, and blue 4th of July kit, since we're playing on 4th of July. I have a red, white, and blue patch or sticker that has the shield. That's a really cool version of the shield, I think. And so throwing that up there would be cool. And so I don't know what that means.
Tree bear.
There's a lot of bear talk tonight.
Yeah, a lot of bear talk. David, we see Carl over in chat. David, I hope you're doing well. Hope you and Chanel are doing well. I was thinking about you today. I almost sent you a text.
David, don't tune in next week. I'm telling you right now, don't tune in next week. You will have flashbacks of Lagoon Siesta Park, and it will be bad. And so, but yeah, as far as theme nights are concerned, that's where I stand. It's crazy that we have only 2 matches that don't have a theme this year, and so I'm curious. I wonder how the staff feels having to coordinate all that stuff for every home match except for 2.
Yeah, didn't we do a Pups last year? I thought we did.
I thought we did too. Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Was it?
I don't
remember the dogs being there, but I feel
there were only
like
like
I
4
remember
dogs.
Hey, I must not have been there.
I think there were only
My
like
dogs
4
would not
dogs on the
behave.
pitch.
They are not invited.
I think
I would
they
have
had more like out on the berm.
Yeah, I would have one that behaved fairly well, and then the other 2, one I wouldn't take because I'd be worried he'd kill another dog, or he's my guard dog.
Yeah.
Oh, Justin says 2 years ago. Yeah, I remember us
2 years,
having
okay.
one. But
And
2
then
years
one dog
ago.
would do really well, and then the other one would just whine the whole time because he'd be so anxious. And so yeah, chaos, but fun.
yeah, so for those of you that joined us late, we're gonna give this, especially now here again, just because David's here. Pete's coming on the show next week, so be sure to tune in.
The annual Pete leaks, maybe.
Yep,
Hopefully.
we're gonna have a lot of fun with Pete next week. Yeah, like it's just this schedule is absolutely stacked. You look at obviously I want the Star Wars thing. Like I said, I tweeted at Ron, give us a Star Wars kit. Like I would love to see a Star Wars kit. That's just me being nerdy.
Nerd.
New Mexico
Yeah.
Soccer History Night.
That's a cool one too.
That's
Yeah.
one that
Yeah,
I'm really
yeah.
interested in. Bring back Fishbine, bring back, some of the Lobos, bring back some of the Soul players. Maybe we see Tony
Mhm.
Soler back in town. Maybe
I'd
we
love
Oh,
see,
that'd be
to
so
come back.
cool.
obviously Dev still big. I see some of the
Yeah.
other guys coming back in.
Jerry.
Jerry, yeah.
Connor Jerry with the
Um,
Chili's.
Tom Renfro.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, apparently it's going to be Unchained Pete. So, but no, like there's so many people in and around New Mexico soccer that have made a huge impact on where we are today. We wouldn't be here today doing the podcast with the club, all of this without a number of these people throughout the history of New Mexico soccer. And I'm sure we'll talk. I would love to talk to Ron ahead of this too. If we can get Tom, if we can get Ron on, talk to them about the history of New Mexico soccer. There's a book over on, I think it was Tom Renfro's book he sells on Amazon. The history of New Mexico soccer, right? Check it out. Just lots of things to read and find out about, the geckos and the chilies and, the indoor soccer here and just so much to go into it. But yeah, like it's, Meow Wolf Night's always fun. Obviously Pride stands out for me as an important night. So, yeah, can't wait to see that. There are so many exciting nights coming up this year. And if they throw something in on the other two nights, I don't even know what we're going to do. Like,
I doubt they do, but I just want to see some special kits, man. That's I want to see some special.
I
kits
can't wait to
and
see our
special
new
merch.
home kit.
Yeah, hopefully we haven't had any teasers. I
mean,
saw. Did you see
It's
Colorado
been
Springs?
years.
Yeah,
I did see Maples posted about Colorado Springs kit release.
So it's like they posted it like a month before.
Yeah, I thought,
That's
damn,
too long.
that's
too
yeah.
long. It's like February 13th is when they're going to have their thing. And so
I thought the same thing.
Usually we don't get any teasers until like the week before it happens. And so I don't expect to see anything for a while. But I am anticipating that for sure. I think we keep the Sandia kit. And then I think I'm assuming we're keeping the Taos kit too. They just did a video with the Taos one again. But a new home kit for sure is hopefully on the agenda. I was told last year that it was going to be on the agenda, so fingers crossed that that's what happens. And then
I've heard hints at a collared kit.
I think that's
You're
just
willing
you.
that into existence.
I think he's just like,
I'm hoping, man. I have it on good authority.
The thing is it collared kits can be really good or really bad. And so we'll see there, but I'm excited for that. I'm sure we'll have questions for Peter about that, about the stadium, about the contracts, which is what he wants to come on and talk about in the first place, and the philosophy there, and I can't wait to get into that. It's awesome to see a conversation with Weehan lead to like a little bit more transparency, and it's Pete unhinged, so maybe a lot more transparency. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm excited for it for sure. It's like I said, David, you will have flashbacks and it's a little bit of PTSD there where you're just like, oh God, what do we do? You'll be face palming a lot, I'm assuming. And so if you tune in, just beware.
Yeah. So next week, Pete, we're going to be business heavy. We're going to talk contract philosophy, talk about stadium, talk about some other things. As it stands right now, there's still no CBA. So,
True.
Jacob, I know this wasn't on our rundown tonight, but we talked about it last week. We had heard rumblings that there might be something within a matter of days that hasn't happened. I don't want to say like, are we pushing, or we're not going to pull out the panic button, right? But
no,
we're now 2 weeks away from the beginning of preseason. and no CBA in place. At what point do we start to get worried?
My date for hovering over the panic button is probably around the 20th of February.
Okay.
And then my date for pushing the panic button, but just ever so slightly, is probably the 27th, 28th, like the end of February, and then March 4th will be slamming.
Oh
that.
shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Christina, where are you at with your CBA panic scale?
I'm gonna be real interested to hear Pete's perspective on some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would say, yeah, late February is when I would start kind of getting a little fidgety.
Mm-hmm.
It's our the season actually kicks off mid-March. We just don't
March.
we don't have our first home game until the end of March. Is that what it is?
March 7th.
Oh shit.
March 7th is
yeah,
the
so
season. I don't think we start the 14th.
Yeah, we start the 14th. Yeah, March 7th is the season opener.
okay, I'm gonna say more mid-February than late February. If it starts as early as March 7th, I want to see things solidified before March hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also I take it back. March 6th is opening day. That's Lexington and Lou City, and then most of the rest of the league kicks off on the 7th. So, yeah, I mean we're coming down to it. There's already talk of Major League Baseball potentially locking out after the 2026 season because of the Dodgers and their inability to control their pocketbooks and using $2 billion worth of deferred payments. Yeah, after that Kyle Tucker contract, but there's talk of them locking out. There's talk of WNBA locking out, and now we are 5 weeks from the start of the USL Championship season. We don't have a CBA. Players are already in camp. We have preseason schedules. We have a season schedule. I think as fans, it is worth being concerned about at this point. I mean, obviously there's a lot can happen in 5 weeks, right?
I'm gonna push back ever so slightly. We can't control shit about it, so don't stress. Don't stress. It could very well suck, but don't lose any. Please, dear God, don't lose any sleep over it, because there's not a damn thing we can do about it.
Hopefully, it's not like the 1994 baseball season. So,
hopefully,
that was a mess. That was a giant mess. But on the off chance that we do have a CBA in place and teams are getting underway here in a matter of weeks, who outside of New Mexico United are you looking forward to seeing either against New Mexico United, or maybe it's a team that we don't play at all?
I'm curious to see Tampa, since they signed everyone and their mother. What's that going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
So they were the first team that came to my mind, but I'm really excited for Brooklyn. What are they called? Okay. Brooklyn FC?
Brooklyn FC. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a fun addition. And the signings, it's a lot of San Diego, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they can call themselves San Diego 2.0.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what I like about Brooklyn, they sign Obregon from, he was like the highest scorer in USL League One. They signed Gabriel Alves from Tormenta, who
I like him,
is really good. But then they bring in like a Tommy McNamara from Vegas last year, who also has a ton of MLS experience, and so they have a variety of people. They still have a lot of roster to fill out, but yeah, they are a team that I for sure am curious. Tampa's
and they
a
have a
shout.
women's team, right?
Yeah,
Brooklyn has a women's team.
They have for a while. Yep.
So that's nice that they already have that sort of fan base established. I want to see. I mean, like Rhode Island was a great addition because it brought a really robust, fans. There's the Raising Acre podcast, like, just very involved as opposed to these more empty looking stadiums where there isn't a lot of engagement.
Mhm.
Brooklyn seems like it's promising for getting a lot of fan engagement.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
they could.
Great location, by the way, too. You can get a lot of fan engagement in New York. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Small little side quest here, guys. Sorry, bear with me. When I was in West Virginia for the state parks conference, there were some people from New Jersey state parks there.
Mhm.
And one of the ladies is the event and outreach coordinator for them at one of the parks, like right outside Jersey City. And she was saying some of their events get like 500 people or thousands of people, depending on what the event is. And as as somebody who hosts events and gets like 100 people, I'm like, wow, that is awesome. So shout out to New Jersey State Parks. Seth, do you have a roster or a team that is stuck out to you?
Bolte stole mine. Boise.
Yeah,
Boise's
League
making
One,
some
right?
Yes, League One. They're making some noise with that roster they're building. Lots of guys with championship experience.
I have it here. You want me to read some names?
Go for it.
Tumi Moshabani, Blake Bodley, Charlie Adams, Jonathan Ricketts, Nick Moon. Those are all names that if you follow
Costitian too, right?
Yeah. If you follow USL at all, some of those names at least should be semi-familiar to you, but you might have heard of them. And if you're sickos like myself, a lot of those names, I'm like, holy cow. And yeah, that's a curious. I'm curious what happens there, and I'm also curious, like, how much are you having to pay these championship guys to come to Boise, Idaho?
Right.
They do have very lush grass there.
They do. I love Idaho. I've never been to Boise
nice
itself.
pitches.
I love Idaho, but yeah, it's kind of strange. Mr. Kearns kind of stole mine over here. Desert Friar, Charleston, one that I'm very curious to see. They have retooled for sure, but man, losing MD Myers, Cal Jennings, Rubo Rubin, just to name a few, it's gonna be interesting to kind of see what they end up doing. They do bring in Sean Suver, who led Pittsburgh's back line to a championship last year. They're bringing Miguel Berry bringing Miguel Berry down from MLS. And that I can guarantee you wasn't cheap. Wilmer Cabrera, of course, we know what he's capable of is going over there. But they still are losing a lot of names. Wesley Legit, Arturo Rodriguez, Juan David Torres, Aaron Malloy, Leland Archer, Nathan Dos Santos, Jackson Conway, like a ton of names that they're leaving. And they've only brought in a handful. So they still have a good core. Of course, Nanan Hosu is still over there.
Who?
But I am curious what they do. And then Christina was talking about Tampa Bay signing everybody. I think
And their mother.
Yeah, everybody and their mother. I think Lexington signed their dogs apparently because Lexington signed. Lexington went quality over quantity. In a lot of ways, they definitely probably spent the most money. Not necessarily on like salaries, but they brought in Philip Goodrum and Aaron Malloy from Lexington or from Lou City and Charleston, respectively, and they transferred them over. They paid a transfer fee for them, and Goodrum is a guy that we talked about last week with Bees, and he was thinking that Goodrum's salary was around 150K a year, which is going to be one of the tops in the league. I didn't get a chance to ask Weehan what he thought the transfer fee was, but my guess is probably six figures. So you're paying $250,000 for Philip Goodrum to play for you this year, which in most pro sports, that's nothing, but in USL, that is a ton.
Mhm.
And Aaron Malloy, I don't know what he's bringing in or anything like that, but I bet that transfer fee was up there as well. And so, they're paying a pretty penny to bring in those names. They also brought in Tarek Scott, Luis Felipe of Sacramento fame or disdain, however you want to put it. And then the big center back that I really wanted, Arturo Ordonez, also from Lou City. So they've made some high quality additions there that I am curious what happens. I have it on pretty good authority that they spent the most money last year on their roster and lost or didn't make the playoffs. And now this year they are also spending a ton of money. And we'll see if that pays off. Josh over in the chat says Colorado as well. Obviously, we know of Talon Maples. They brought in Adrian Perez from Lou City. They brought in Colin Shuttler from Orange County. They brought in Daroma from El Paso, Speedy Williams, Corey Bennett from Sacramento. And so, yeah, it is a fun league because, come week one, we're going to be like, oh, he plays for them now? Oh, that's where he went? And so,
Well,
yeah.
we're still trying to learn the names of our guys.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, those are definitely the names that stuck out to me. Birmingham is like the flip side of that. They have done absolutely diddly squat.
Concerned about Birmingham.
Yeah,
and lost their coach.
Yeah, the only announcement they had, other than like the initial burst of announcements, was Mark Briggs leaving to actually go be an assistant under Quill. And then they did announce today that Ronaldo Damas is coming back. But according to Morrissey's roster tracker over here, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 names on it, which I know we only have 16, 17 tomorrow, but they like the movement, it's all returning guys, and they have done nothing else. And they're letting Trevor Spanenberg, Preston Tibortaka, Steven Turnbull, Enzo Martinez, Matt Van Okel, who's been their goalkeeper, I think, since year one, or pretty close to it. Cameron Lacey, the Malik Howell that we talked about coming to United. Like, there's a lot of outgoing talent and nothing so far coming in, which we see that with teams, right? Miami did that a year or two ago. Vegas did that right before they brought in Sanchez. So we see that at times, but from a club that came in when we came in the league in 2019 that seemingly has a decent fan base and is always at least competitive, it feels kind of weird for them to kind of be going down this road. Hartford is another one that didn't really put anything. They played it how we played it last year and didn't put out like a, hey, here are the moves that we start off here with. Instead, they decided, okay, we're going to sprinkle things, but I don't even think they started sprinkling really until like Christmas. They do have a roster. They have one new signing that's on this at least, and a handful of people leaving, but it is kind of strange. We talked about Brooklyn. Let's talk about the other new team that's coming in real quick. Jacksonville. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
They also have a women's team.
They do. There's like 17, 18 names here. There are names that I recognize as a sicko. I don't think there's a ton of names that like the average USL New Mexico United fan would know. But they're building something, and I'm curious if either of you have had a chance to look at their signings, if you recognize any of the names, how you feel, because to me it's a huge unknown, and that's me.
Yeah, I feel like I tend to like the unknowns. I feel like I'd be pretty pumped if I was a fan of that club and it being new club. They already have the women team established, so they've got a stadium to play in, right?
I believe so. Yes.
I think so. And yeah, just nobody knowing what to expect from them.
Yeah. I'm excited to just see what it looks like for them. It could be a disaster Miami situation, like when Miami signed a bunch of kind of unknowns and Italians a couple years ago, and then finished like dead last. Or it could be something like, who was it? Rhode Island. There we go. Where Rhode Island obviously brought a lot of names that we recognized, but they could have success like Rhode Island did in their first year. It's going to be hard to tell until we actually see them play a few matches on the pitch, and then we can kind of judge them. But I'm intrigued, and I wouldn't be surprised if, even though we didn't talk about them until now, and I kind of forced us to talk about them, and we all kind of don't know anything about them. Whereas Brooklyn was one of the first names that got brought up, and there's players there that we all kind of know and recognize. I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville finishes ahead of Brooklyn in the standings,
right? Yeah,
and actually has more success as far as the standings go. Maybe not as many butts in the seats or something like that. But I'm curious. Then the last name I want to bring up is. The last two names I want to bring up are El Paso and Phoenix.
Who?
Mainly just to keep an eye on, like, kind of gauge our fellow USL West rivals over here. For El Paso, I think Rubio Rubin is a huge get and kind of replaces Wilmer Cabrera. And then they bring in Carl Sainty, who was a favorite of mine and Seth's for the brief time that he was here with New Mexico. Other than that, a couple more players coming in. They did keep a handful of players, but it seems like they're kind of just going to run it back and hope that a coaching change changes things. Junior Gonzalez coming in from LAFC 2, basically. We'll see that. Did anything that they did scare you guys or move the needle for you at all?
I tried to ignore them.
Fair.
I mean,
Fair.
obviously Rubin is a name to watch out for, but I mean, we've gotten used to, I don't want to say wholesale change, but significant change, right? And you've got coaching changes in both cities. So I that's more of a concern for me than the roster, right? Your coaches are coming in, you're inheriting a bunch of guys that aren't your guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a bigger concern for those two clubs than anything else. Obviously, be interesting to see Carl Sainty back in championship. Like you said, you and I both really loved him when he was here. Loved him in the preseason. Didn't really get a fair shake here. But he did play for Phoenix last year
enough to he played center back a lot last year for Phoenix, which I thought was a little strange.
Yeah.
But because one of the things that me and Seth saw preseason, the year that he was
on the
here,
ball ability.
Well, and his shots, like his outside the box shots were electric. So yeah.
I think Phoenix is more about the players they lost than who they brought in. I mean, Juan Carvajal's fine. You kept Rakowski, you kept Darius Johnson, but again, I'm concerned with the attacking options for Phoenix.
Yeah, Dennis and Hope. Dennis. I would argue that Dennis has the most punchable face in the USL.
Mm-hmm.
He's still going to be there. They did bring back Potmar Boy. They announced yesterday or the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good for their back line at least. They're losing Ryan Flood, Harvey Neville, who is one of the players that went to Jacksonville. Actually, Mo Traore as well went to Jacksonville. the aforementioned Carl Sainty's gone, Remy Cabral is gone, Formella is gone. So
and when I think of both of the clubs, I'm surprised El Paso is even back this year, if I'm really
Yeah.
honest.
Mhm.
I feel like I keep waiting for the announcement that they're folding. And then I'm not on Twitter or X anymore these days, but I just remember seeing rumblings of front office issues with Phoenix, and
yeah,
they
Oh,
just
yeah.
both
and
seem like clubs that
as-
have really fallen from grace.
I would argue that El Paso was never really in grace.
But they at
They
least
had
were.
some.
I don't know. I find myself expecting them to not do well, which is probably isn't a good thing, but um
Well, they did have, they beat us in the Western Conference semis to go to the Western Finals back in 21. And so, but but talk about, there's not a player on New Mexico United that was part of that club anymore.
yeah.
Now that Bruce and Rivas are gone. Um, the longest tenured player for New Mexico now came on in 2022. Any guesses?
Will?
Yeah, it's Will. And so he's by far he's the longest tenured by a year, and then both Hurst and Bailey came in the next year. But I think Bailey came in midseason on a 25-day contract. So it's
Mhm.
Seymour, Hurst, Bailey, and then a ton of people from like 2 years ago, basically. Um, and there's like Amando, who was on the club for us and now is over there. So that's a familiar face in the rivalry with El Paso since then. But at the same time, it's just two drastically different looks for each club and
Mhm.
directions for each club since then.
Mhm.
We had 2022 and 2023 where they were kind of, 2023 Quill comes in, we make the run at the end to make the playoffs, but you could argue that El Paso was the more successful club as far as the table and results are for in the first handful of years that we were both in the league. But yeah, they are falling off. And then obviously Phoenix goes from 2019 lighting the league on fire, winning 20 plus games in a row, setting the points record, not winning the title, and then now they're kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Even from like, I like when we play them, I get excited about it. But if it's not a match between us and them, I don't think about them hardly anymore. And they're kind of just average in a lot of ways. And so it's kind of weird and a little sad, if I'm being honest, that
Yeah.
like now we're talking about Sacramento, who's usually up near the top with us the last 2 years anyways, and hating them. I think Tim Bacchus going to Tulsa after the results that we had against Tulsa last year is going to add some fuel to the fire there, and be kind of a rivalry there. Colorado Springs is the most successful club. They're the only ones out of our rivals that have a star since we've joined the league, which is crazy.
And they keep taking our players.
Yeah. Marco last year, Maples this year. It's going to be a fun year again. I'm excited. Like we've seen videos now of the team on the pitch and doing physicals and fitness tests, and they come through and they give us one word for this season. Some of them didn't give us one word. Some of us gave us multiple words. Some, like Valentine Noel, called people out for not saying one word. It's fun to start see them gelling and them working on the pitch,
Yeah.
and I can't wait for some more videos like that to come out for media day. Media day is usually the first day that I get a chance to see them on the pitch live. But I am really going to try to get to Tucson and see what happens there. And so yeah, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. It's going to be a fun one.
Bolty's
sure.
right. I think that's why I find myself disliking Sacramento so much.
Oh yeah. And I wonder, I do kind of sometimes take a step back and go, okay, do the Sacramento fans feel the same way? Like, do they feel as like,
I don't
New
think so.
Mexico gets all the love, blah 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 blah. And so I often take a step back and go, I wonder if that's the case. And then very quickly I realize, no, that is not the
No.
case. That can't be the case because we do not get any love. And so yeah.
I feel like maybe the Sacramento fans just aren't as vocal on social media. I just feel like I can't think of any Sacramento fans in particular who are outspoken or would maybe be throwing jabs or shade or
No, there's not a ton. They usually hate on their own team. One of my favorite things to do is go to a Sacramento tweet of a final score when they either lose or draw at the last minute, and like the sheer pandemonium. It's what I hate when our fans do, but I love seeing other fan bases do it. And so
with Colorado Springs, I don't feel like it's really social media, but you can always hear the fans on the cameras. And they're
yeah,
always irritated with other players.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything. I didn't think we'd make it to an hour and a half, but oh be gosh darn, we did.
Yep.
Either of you have any closing thoughts?
Can't wait to see Pete. Concerned about Harry. Haven't heard from Harry much recently, so
no, we haven't. And I imagine
he did message us about the Super Bowl being on Valentine's Day.
Next year,
yeah, he did.
So he's well enough to be aware of Valentine's Day next year.
Yep. Yeah, just hope Harry's well. Hope some other folks are well. Major League Baseball Hall of Fame has announced their inductees: Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Only 2.
Is that normal? Only 2?
It varies.
It varies, yeah. So
it varies pretty drastically.
Neither of them were unanimous votes. The closest we got to a unanimous recently was Ichiro last year. I don't know how you don't vote for Ichiro.
Even I know of, yeah. I don't watch baseball, but I recognize that name.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think that's it. I don't have anything.
Christina?
No, I'm happy to have finally made it to pod.
Yeah.
And look forward to next week.
Yeah. Even if you can't make it next week, you better listen live.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I'll be
I will be leaving to Florida the next day. But I tend to travel on Wednesdays, I find, and I'm not packing until after the podcast is over.
Oh, good.
That seems to be my routine.
Good. Well, in that case, Andrew, Jake, Josh, Desert, aka Mike. I remember this time, Mike. Justin's over here. Who else is over here? David, of course.
Who's Desert Friar? Is that Christian?
No, his name is Desert Friar's name is Mike Kearns. We've had.
Mike.
I had to ask him again last week, but I got it this time. Michael Bencomo, Eric Ramirez was over here. Jim Painter popped in for a minute. That's a new name, or a rare name, anyways. I feel like there was one more.
We had a Ty Williams.
Oh yeah, Ty. I think that's the one I was missing. Yep, perfect. So yeah, thank all of you guys. Mama Jeremiah, aka Raylene, was in the chat. And I always ask her if it's Raylene or if it's Jeremiah in the chat, because sometimes it's her or sometimes it's her, sometimes it's him, sometimes it's a combination. But she commented way earlier, so I don't know if she's still listening or not. But thank all of you guys for being over in the chat. Like we said multiple times throughout the podcast today, you will want to tune in next week. The one and only Peter Trevisani will be on, which almost guarantees at least a small Pete leak. And who knows, maybe we get a crazy one. We'll have to see. But he will be on. It was him that reached out to come on the podcast, so you know he's fired up to come and talk about stuff. One of the things that we'll talk about is USL contracts and the philosophy that United have. Kiesewetter, wow, that's a name
A
there,
blast
Mike.
from the past.
No, I will say Harry might be a little upset tomorrow. That's that'll be the last hint that I give. But thank you guys so much. We will be back next week at 8:00. If you are listening but not chatting, why? If you are listening at a later date, then please rate and review us on whatever podcast player you are listening on. And then also go over to YouTube, like us on YouTube, hit the little bell if you don't want to miss anything. Because when we do go live, I think it is fun to get in and get in the chat, and all the other podcasts that I listen to, if they have a live time and I have a chance to make it on, I do like to make it on, just for the camaraderie and the community that it builds. So thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week. And until then, love y'all. Somos Ninos.